How do you do it? Do you know how to do it? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Minhaj Arastu. I'm the head of school at Unity Academy of Chicago. On behalf of Baitul Ilm Academy and Unity Academy of Chicago, we welcome you to this Parents Workshop. The title of the session is How to Instill the Love of Islam in Our Children. And we're blessed to have a chance to hear from Syed Hadi Yasin on this critical topic. As many of you know, Unity Academy of Chicago is an Islamic Montessori school located next door to Baitul Ilm. Enrollment is currently open for the primary program for children of ages 3 to 6. Our elementary program is full, but we do have a waiting pool for interested parents. And as our school grows, we're also hiring for several positions, including school manager, primary and elementary assistants, Quran and Arabic teachers, and a librarian. Please do visit our information table, which is this table to my right. And you may sign up for our school tours, which happen on Wednesdays, and also come and visit on our open house, which is scheduled for April the 20th. And before I invite Syed Hadi Yasin to begin his lecture, I'd like to request a few things from our respected guests. Please do silence your cell phones, and we encourage you to ask questions. We'll circulate a piece of note card on which you can write your questions so that we can present the questions at the end of the presentation. At 6:55, I would ask those parents who have children in childcare to please go and pick up your children so that the childcare staff can also get ready for Maghrib. And at 7:10, inshallah, we'll conclude our program to get ready for Maghrib Salat and Iftar. Hujjat al-Islam Dr. Syed Hadi Yasin began his formal Islamic education in 1996 in Mashhad Islamic Seminary in Iran. And during this seminary program, he attained 2 bachelor's degrees, one in the Quranic sciences and the other in Islamic jurisprudence. In 2009, he undertook a master's program in child development. Syed Hadi then earned a doctoral degree in psychology. He's a certified professional coach and the founder of Hadi Life Coaching, which provides services for clients nationwide and internationally since 2013, focusing on children, parenting, and relationships. And currently his services are expanded to over 10 different countries. Also, his focus has been on working with children and families with special needs. He served as an associate clinical supervisor at California Psych Care, assisting families with autistic children. Dr. Yasin is a founder of Enlight Academy, the first Shia Montessori school in the San Francisco Bay Area. Dr. Syed Hadi Yasin understands the complexities and challenges associated with minority groups living in the US, and he has worked as a leader and motivational speaker in many diverse environments across cultural backgrounds in hopes of finding solutions for some of the issues that are arising amongst these communities. And we welcome Dr. Syed Hadi Yasin for this evening's program.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I can't be sitting while I'm giving a presentation here. It's different than the lecture. How are you all doing? Good? Your salawat is like 1 hour before Maghrib. Of course, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Glad to be here. Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless you all. Before we start, few important disclaimers, maybe information that would be helpful, inshallah. What we discuss here, I'm trying my best. Usually my workshops are in few days, 1 or 2 days, sometimes 3 days, to cover a lot of information in details. But, we're talking about what are the most important things to cover in this short amount of time we have. So my approach is mostly try to give you some general information about children below the age of 12, 11, 12 probably, and some points about psychological aspects, developmental aspects, how to help them to have the love of the culture and Islam in their heart and their mind and to follow, and of course some challenges as parents. So you're welcome to definitely have questions, and I want you to you're going to have a lot of questions, I promise you. Either take a note of your questions or just don't forget about them. So we'll have a time, inshallah, maybe every section that I finish, we'll have a time to go through the questions or after the presentation, inshallah. So, yes.
Please film you in that area so that you can stay.
Oh, in this position? It's very difficult. I'm going to walk all around. So yes, this is the camera's problem, right? Yeah. So, all right. So tell me the average age of your children. How many of you guys you have preschoolers? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you guys you have between 6 to 11? All right. Almost all, right? Okay. And how many of you guys you are in an Islamic school? All right, the rest are in other schools as well. All right, thank you so much. Is it working?
It should. Can you try?
With the TV?
I think so.
How? Like this one?
Hang on a second.
All right, you can hear me, right? So beautiful tradition is saying that okay. رحم الله عبدا أعان ولده على بره بالإحسان إليه والتألف له وتعليمه وتعذيبه. God blessed the servant who helped his child on his righteousness. When we say righteousness, we're talking about the absolute training of your kid. In righteousness, there is adab, respect. In righteousness, there is motivation for education. In righteousness, there is mental health, right? In righteousness, everything you want to consider. When we call someone mu'min, what comes to mind? Not someone just pray, as I lectures all the time at night. So in general, if you want to help your child to be righteous, here are the few aspects that you need to keep in mind. Okay? And if you're taking notes, you're going to forget about these things very easily, but these are the key point to follow. Number one, by being kind to him. The first key towards success is nothing but being what? Ihsan. You know what's the difference between ihsan and muhabbat? Who knows? Muhabbat is that you are helping someone because you're returning, you're receiving something in return as well, right? Ihsan means even if they don't give it back, you're still kind of nice. You see how beautifully he's using this term? He could say bil muhabba, right? He could say just be kind to them. How many of you guys, you agree with me? We just gave a lot, we don't receive enough, right? And the older one as well. So, but you need to understand that there is no transaction here. You're just giving a lot. But of course, when you do a good job, you receive back too. Having a nice relationship, ta'alluf fillah. How many of you guys, you have teenagers sitting here? Okay, wow, mashallah. You have teenagers and you have younger ones? Yeah? How many of you guys just have teenagers? Okay, good. This is for you as well. You can use a lot of this point that I'm saying. Definitely shared as well. So, you can't have a successful kid in all aspects. Is it echoing? Yeah? Oh, because of this? Okay. So, without having a good relationship with them, you need to have ta'alluf, ulfat, kindness. Not only that, closeness. You need to have a good, close relationship with your children. Okay? If you want to teach them anything, you can force them to learn, and they will learn, but you can force them to apply those things into their lives, right? If you want them to pick up and to follow, you need to create a relationship that they feel like, oh my God, I love this. I love my... They follow the orders and recommendations and information from a teacher who they have a good relationship with, okay? Let alone the parents. And we all know how annoying they can be, right? How difficult it can be. We're not creating a rosy colored situation here. And having a good relationship with him, and by beautifully, ta'aleem wa ta'deeb. Education and discipline. You need to educate them. I can have the whole workshop about these two terms, education and discipline, right? It's impossible without you educate them. How to educate them, we'll talk about it, and discipline. This is another thing. It's not just about be kind and sweetheart, I love you so much. It's about discipline. Who knows what's the meaning of discipline? Let's make it mutual. What is the definition of discipline here? When you discipline your child, you do what? What is it? What does it mean? How? How? What is it? What do you mean, right way of doing things? Boundaries do what? How? What part of it is discipline? Okay. What do you do? How many do you have teachers here? Raise your hand. Teachers? Yeah. What do you do? How do you do discipline in the school? Make them responsible for what? They're responsible for their actions. What is the difference between punishment and discipline? I'm going to raise a lot of questions so you understand this is a science here. If you're dealing with your children, it's not just because your grandparents, they did a great job or not, right? It's the whole science behind. We have to understand how to do what to do. In different developmental ages, actually, your child has a different, mentality and thought process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the most important thing, here we'll talk about it, the most important thing is that keep them accountable in a healthy way. In a healthy way. That can be punishment, right? Punishment, that means you are forcing the person to accept the policy, the rules, recommendations without an explanation, without understanding, no matter what. Even if you understand or not, you have to follow it. Discipline that means you give them ample information and communication, and then you expect them to follow after that, right? The key here to parenting, these are the key I want to talk about. Number one, communication with your kids through the scope of these things. Relationship, having a nice relationship, being kind to them. Number one, communication. To be able to talk to your kids. A lot of couples, they don't know how to communicate with each other. The first factor associated with marital satisfaction is communication in any relationship. So if I don't know how to communicate with a person, I don't know how to express, to explain, to talk, to expect, right? You know why kids yell a lot? They cry a lot because sometimes they can't communicate. Frustration really comes, right? So the first aspect is to be able to sit down and talk to them one-on-one. The best way to do it, let me see what I have here. The best way and the best time is to start it at, okay, so that's good to hear as well. So it's us, as you can see here, the hadith is saying, it is the parents who force the kids to be in the right path or to be against the right path. It's up to us. This is what we do. This is our parenting. Your kids are the product of your parenting. If they're using bad words, nice, calm, they're not. If they are, for example, into reading books, or they're into social media a lot or screen time, a lot of it is because of you, how much you are showing as role model to them, what is the most important thing to do. Make sense? So the best time in order to help them, of course, is to do as early as possible. Once you have little kids and you create this culture in the house that we talk to each other, number one, communication. Number two, share your feelings with them and let them learn how to share their feelings. This is a trend that I see a lot of families around the world, they have issue. Parents are not able to show emotion. A lot of brothers, hi, how you doing? We don't want to have them around because they're going to learn and they're going to use it against you. Yep. Yes. Okay. A lot of, where's mom? Alrighty, cool. So a lot of brothers, they have difficulties to express their feelings, right? The emotions. Or man, we're not showing the emotion, no. Opposite actually. We should. Emotional intelligence is important to be able to express. Moms as well, to be able to show the emotions. When your kids are showing the emotion to you that is not healthy emotion, what do you need to do? Correct them through the emotions. It's okay, they throw something, they throw tantrum, they're learning. I'm upset now, I don't know how to deal with my feelings. I can't yell back at them. She's yelling at you, he's yelling at you, says, I want it, you should give it to me. And guess what? If I yell back, that means this is how we communicate with each other. How many of us we do? Raise your hand. Come on, be honest here, right? I don't want to deal with just formal situation. We do that, right? Sisters, you don't do it? Raise your hand then. I want to see that reality. Based on your honesty, I'll go further or not. Yes? We do it. We get frustrated because we're human beings, right? We're not robots. We get tired. We're working and then we're parents as well and so on and so. So, are we recording? Okay, so you don't have to record because it's going to be recorded, so you'll be definitely shared with this as well online. So, therefore, it is us in response to them. How do we what? I want you to focus totally on the content that we're dealing with. It's up to us how we show them how to what in return. Remember how to behave, right? So if I am frustrated because he didn't listen to me, these are the foundation of Islamic teachings, by the way. If I am frustrated with my child and I'm trying to express my frustration because you disrespected me and I yell or I punish, then guess what? In this communication, as a child, I'm learning. In order to show my frustrations, what should I do? I have to yell. Why? Why should I do it? Because I have been taught to do that. You see what I mean? If I am, for example, angry, I have to break something. I have to punch something. Why? Because I have seen this is the way that I should release my verses. I talk about it. Versus I've seen my father and my mom last time they sit down to me next to me and says, looks like you're very frustrated, you're angry. So how do you want to express your feelings about it? Do you want to talk about it? In a marriage, if we only learn how to talk to each other about our feelings, a lot of marital issues are solved. A lot. So the best way to start, the best time is the early ages, right? Number one, learn how to communicate with your kids, even your teenagers. When you become teenagers, you understand how difficult it is. They should, even if you didn't do it, make sure you get used to it now. Take them outside. Go sit down somewhere with them. Take them out for coffee or for lunch or something. Start talking to them. How are you feeling? How's the school? If they kids, they respect you, right? But if they feel if they be open with you, it's going to go against them, they're not going to talk to you. So if they don't talk to you, you don't know their weaknesses, their issues. If you don't know what's going on with them, guess what? A lot of people, I see my kid until the age of 10, 12, 13, 14, masjid, doing everything, mashallah, perfect. All of a sudden, change their out. Well, I didn't know what's going on because they were pretending that they're very good. See what I mean? So that's the issue here. So it's better to start from the beginning. All right. Here are the most important factors that can help you train your kids from all aspects. Like I said, I'm talking about Islamic things, but in general, these are the most important thing we have to keep in mind. Number one, the gene. That's why when you want to get married, this is very important who you married, right? That's why it's so important you keep yourself pure, because through your gene, it goes back to your children, it goes to children as well, right? Tremendous ahadith that we have about focus on your purity, train your nafs during the pregnancy, how you should be pure and clean yourself and your ruh and soul and everything, right? So we don't want to go there because we're talking about parent, right? We're going to go to the environment. Before I go to environment, I want you to pay attention to your kids' mental stage and developmental stage. A lot of us, we expect a lot from our kids. We don't understand what is their capacity at this age, what they can understand, what they cannot understand. Why? Because we're adults, we expect them to understand like us. You need to sit down. Maulana's lecture is good. Sit down here next to me, 40 minutes, you have to listen to the lecture. He cannot. It's too much. His capacity is probably, if he's 5, if he's 6, 7, probably 10 minutes. 10 minutes is too much. Right? And then you expect, no, in my culture, my grandma forced me to sit down. It's too much for them. Then guess what? When it's a teenager, when I have more power to say no to you, what I'm going to do? I'm not going to sit down. Remember the 3 stages of Islamic parenting? 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to what? 21. Why? Why 0 to 7? Al-waladu sayyi'. The kid is the king or the queen. Why? Because you're laying the foundation of trust. In this relationship, I can trust you, mom and dad. You're not forcing me to something that I don't like it. Right? Although it is king and queen, it's not that leave them to raise by themselves until 7. No. Indirectly you teach them. Indirectly you help them. Not directly. Right? So, in these 7 years, you're building the trust. At the school, if you want your children to follow your students, build the trust foundation. So I can trust you. Right? So that's why it's very important by not forcing them. If I don't know my kid at this age, for example, just an example I have here, from 3 to 5, their thinking ability continued to be very concrete, and it's very easy for them to see what is in front of them. So when I'm going to talk about the concept of Allah, what am I talking about? Okay, please, what am I talking about? Where is it? I love animals. Why? Because they're in front of me. I can see them. I love books because I can touch them. So now you're talking about something that I can't see it. Their thinking process is very rigid, inflexible, illogical. If you're 5, 6 years old, doesn't want to share something with his friends and others, what do you say? Astaghfirullah in front of us. Just give it to them. It's not good. It's not nice. I was at your age. No, you were not. Right? You should understand at this age we call them egocentrics. They don't want to share. Would you share your car with me? Would you share your car with other people? Would you share your... You don't. For them, that toy is the entire life that they have. You think that she's just carrying that doll. It's like, this is her whole life. And then when you take it, so for example, one of them is aunt, one of them is uncle, one of them... So you take it, you throw it, it's like, why my mom is throwing the uncle away? For her, is that literally that personality. She's relating to that. You don't get it. When she wants to sleep, you see that they have the dolls and things or animals around them. It's a sense of security. If I don't understand them, I take something away from them and he's mine. What's going on? What kind of word is this? It's so unsafe, scary, isn't it? That my loved ones is taking away my loved ones. You see what I mean? Make sense? Yes or no? So you know I love to hear back. Yes? Illogical, they don't get it. In addition, their understanding of the world includes people, nature, and things is very limited. The preschooler also has great difficulty taking the perspective of other people. There is a social experiment online. Please go Google it. They put a kid sit down with the instructor. So there's a picture of something behind the instructor, and there's something behind the kid. So she asked the teachers, the students, well, I don't know why I'm carrying this. So they asked the kid, what do you think I can see? Imagine the kid is here, I'm asking the kid, what do you think I can see? Kids look around, look up and says, you can see that picture that is behind the instructor. Why? Because he can see. A lot of us in marriage, we're the same way. Did you get my point? I look at you, my husband, my wife like this. So I can see your side. I see this side. Then I fight with you because you cannot see what I can see. Make sense? Yeah? So you're getting a lot. Marital tips here as well. Anyhow, so they don't have the other's perspective here. As a result, look what's happening. They don't understand what is real and what is not real. Whatever is in front of them is real. When you say something to each other, you fight with each other. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to divorce you. What do you think they're getting? When they're hearing that you're talking to your mom, to your family, something happened, what do you think into their world is happening? They don't communicate with you. Playing over there, you know they listen to everything. Yes? They know everything around them. What do you think is happening to them? A lot of us, we have issues at this age. You know why? Because we're also victim of the parenting of our parents. Okay? So they think that if something moves, it's real. Whatever it moves, it's real. So it works. It has life. They may fear, for example, if the blood comes out of you, see they're reacting so irrationally, crying, oh my God, I'm dying, I'm dying. Because he believes that he is dying and is bleeding. You can't say, why are you acting this way? Don't act like a kid, right? They don't understand the causality. At this age, they don't understand the causality. So when you explain to them, I want our school to understand these things as well, very important. I have a lot of teachers training as well that we teach them. So you have to understand what they can understand. This example I brought for you, so you need to pay attention to your kids' developmental age. What they can understand, what they cannot. Who knows at what age human brain development will be complete? 24, 25. What is the last stage that they gain and complete? Do you know? The last ability that they complete cognitively. No. What is it? What ability is this? To analyze and understand the risks of their behavior. Until 24, 25, they don't get it. So if your teenagers are acting somehow recklessly, it's not because they don't get it. Outside, you see we have a lot of teen pregnancy. Why? Because I don't understand the risk of my behavior necessarily. It's not that they don't understand this, but it's not complete yet. So, therefore, this third thing, what did I say so far? Communication. What was the second thing? I'm not going to go move forward. First, communication. Second, emotion. Showing emotion, working on emotional intelligence with them, right? Helping to understand and express the emotion. Third, understand their developmental stage. Okay. Let's go to environment. I have seen a lot of families, the gene is beautiful. Mom and dad, they did a great job. She came to me, she's crying, and she said, I'm doubting everything. Why? I'm one of those who fasted before pregnancy, during pregnancy, dua, salat, everything. After the delivery, blah, blah, blah. Why my daughter is so rebellious and doing this and that? I'm like, somewhere something hit her. We have to find out where. If the house environment is so good, from somewhere else she got hit, right? Number one issue that our children, they have is inside the house first. And number one issue that they have is mom and dad, they have issue with each other. I don't want to ask this question that how many of you guys you have marital problems, which rate is going to be, yeah? If you are not good with each other, and then you're going to preach Islam to them, what do you think they think? If it was helpful, fill out the blank. If it was helpful, it could help you. But when I watch Hollywood movies, guess what? Oh, darling. Oh, so-and-so, right? They don't get it that this is, hey, just see what outside is? So if I'm not good, if respectful to my kid, to my wife, I can't expect my kid to respect me if I'm yelling at my husband or my wife. Impossible. Here's what this statement I always say. Without having a good, relatively good marriage, you can't have a good parenting. Relative. We have ups and downs, we have difficulties, we have fight, we have issues, right? Ups and downs in each family. Relatively, if throughout the week and month I'm fighting more, I have more problem with my spouse than the relative peace environment, I can't expect, no matter how many of these things you follow. And the first thing would hit you, your credit, and Islam. Make sense? So therefore, it's very important for you, please and please and please work on that. Not only, yeah, I'm not getting divorced because of my children. I still don't understand that. I'm not getting divorced because of my children. My children are the only reason that I'm staying in this marriage. So this is very important. The third thing is understand them and working on them. So environment. When we talk about environment, we're talking about house, school, friends, society. One of these four things will hit your kid so hard that you don't know where you got hit from. It's very crucial that you pay attention to all these four. House I explained, right? I have kids at college. The reason I'm bringing examples because this is the whole development, right? For you guys, you have a newborn as well. I want you to see when your newborn is 18. This is exactly what's going to happen, I promise you. Good or bad, God forbid, unless you observe it, right? So the kid goes to college. I said, why don't you go back home? He's like, I hate home. Why? Because there's fight all the time. I prefer to stay here. So what do you do when you stay here? When I don't go back home, what do? I'm traveling. With who? My female friends. Where do you stay? I'm giving a real example. In the same hotel room. If I don't go home, the option is open here, right? So, house is very important. We talked about it. Second, school. I almost want to say, almost psychologically, I can't say fiqh. I want to say the term, akhlaqi haram. Do not put your kids in public school. Please, 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 please. Don't do that. I know the level of the education might be higher. I know they have more blah, 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 right? Please don't do that from my perspective. You know what's going on outside. I don't have to explain, right? There was a statistic, 23% increase in homeschooling since COVID because of this whole issue that is happening around, gender issue and blah, blah, blah happening. So when you put your kids at a school, how many hours averagely they are at school? 6-7 hours, right? How much control do you have over them during that time? Zero. And you put them in that environment, what does it mean? I trust this environment. Open the gate of learning. Make sense? And then all of a sudden you're going to say, no, sweetheart, don't learn this one. This is bad. The teacher said this is not good. That one is good. Like, which one? I don't get it. So whatever comes, they get it. Whatever comes, they understand. They believe in it. So, school. Even if you put your kids in Islamic school, still be careful. When you put your kids in Islamic school, that's the time you have to be very careful. Right? Go ahead. Yeah.
Sometimes, like with our kids in public school, if we have friends that are kids in Islamic school, sometimes what we hear from them almost, I would say 80% the same problem.
Yeah. Do you remember what I said? I said when you put them in Islamic school, you should be very careful. The carefulness is start from there. Because outside this is, so in the Islamic schools, one of the job of Islamic school is to control the environment. Who is coming from what environment, from what household. It's very, very important. Because if this kid has access to all the movies and social media, and my kid doesn't have it, and they're going to sit next to each other, guess what? They're going to talk to each other about it. Right? So, not necessarily that everything is perfect. There's less possibility. At least they're not hearing certain things. They're not imposed and exposed to a lot of things, right? Therefore, as a result, and if the inshallah the environment is controlled, is way much better than outside, than not only the other kids, the environment, what they're teaching them purposely, what they teach them all together towards the other side, right? A lot of the families that you're talking about is the family issue. It's not the Islamic schools issue. Because the family are open. Let's go watch this. Let's go do this. Let's go everywhere we want to go. We have the parents, unfortunately. They don't observe. It's not the environment of the school necessarily, it's the parents' issue here, right? Friends. Multiple cases I have, they got hurt by friends. Do you have any examples, any experience? Raise your hand. You've seen some people that they got away from the path by friends? A lot. Especially at these ages. You know what's the good things about this age we're targeting? The children before the age of, I would say 9, 10, is that you have control to create their friends' environment. You still have control. You can guide them towards, this is the friends that we're having. By the way, your friends are very important too. You can have friends that are not in the same mentality and line, and then you expect your children, if you're so close to Jessica and Jill and Mark, and they are not sharing the same values, and you go to their houses all the time, I mean, you can't expect your kids not to have the same thing. I'm being very honest with you, right? You can, and the kids is confused. So we have to be able to differentiate it. So maybe I'll talk more about the friends, we'll see inshallah. And the society, the bigger society, right? For example, you come live in California, oh my God. Right? It's way different than you live in Chicago. I can see it. I can literally see it. In your community, in the bigger society, it's way more traditional than over there, what they're exposed to, right? And their lifestyle. So, let's see, for the house, let's go more towards Islamic environment, how we can create more the seed of love of Islam into their hearts, right? So, the best things to do, when I say masjid, I don't mean just pray. I mean the spiritual environment in the house. In terms of the signs, when it's Ramadan, how many of you guys you decorated for Ramadan your house? MashaAllah, Hassan, very good. How many of you guys you decorate when it comes to Muharram? Right? Tell them about this is important, it's value. Outside as well. How many of you guys you decorate outside? Light outside or everything? Oh, not too many, right? Outside. How come when it comes to Christmas, all the neighbors are celebrating things, what we do not do it? Why? Why we don't do it? Why is it always inside, right? In terms of just a light or something, you don't have to put a banner, right? Ramadan Mubarak in front of your house, you don't have to. But it's a light or something, right? So they understand this. So the house environment will come inshallah. the more you create this spiritual environment in the house, rules are based on Allah's satisfaction, the better it is. So they understand Allah's satisfaction is important. When it comes to ritual specifically, make sure you have a room literally for salat, and you have your kids in. This is just one example. Your kids in charge of that, right? Who is in charge of the azan today? If you have 3 kids, 4 kids, 1 kid, doesn't matter. Who is in charge of the azan today? And who is in charge of putting the janamaz, for example? Who is in charge of calling other ones to come for salat? Whatever responsibility you want, right? If you want to have a good volunteers in masjid, make sure you start it from where? Right? It was just an example how you can. And that room, that environment is the most important room of the house. Do you get my point? It's the most respected, the most important, the best room ever, full with joy as well, that room. Some of the other examples for creating a better environment. Pray in front of your kids, even a newborn. How many of you guys, you have newborn? Raise your hand, please. I want to see. Do you pray in front of them? Good job. Literally have your kids over there and then see their mom is praying. My professors, Dr. Kamner in child development, she's a big name in child development. She said, when you are changing the diaper of your newborn, talk to your newborn. Tell him, sweetheart, this is the dry diaper, the new diaper, right? I'm going to change you. And this is the wet diaper. They cannot explain, they cannot talk, but they understand. Don't we say in the womb, during the pregnancy, they hear, play Quran, be careful, right? We all know. There's an experiment that says they play the story with the voice of the mother while she was pregnant. Okay? For example, once a day and so on. After the delivery, whenever the kids was crying and throwing tantrum, they were playing the same voice, the same rhythm. And the kids were getting calmed down. So then, let alone when they are actually born, they understand. They can't just explain, they can't talk, but they understand. Pray in front of them. Not that all of a sudden the kid is here and then you're going to come all of a sudden grab the kids and then change them or do something, right? It's very important. So one of the things is pray in front of them. Let them see that you recite Quran, you see Quran. And your kids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, your teenagers, see that mom and dad, they pause the world, they grab the Quran and they pray. And they recite. Not that mom and dad, whenever they have chance, what do? Don't we do it? Right? Because I'm tired from outside. So, proportionally, how much of the time that they see me with my phone as parents, versus they see me read a book, versus they see me pray or read the Quran, recite the Quran. You get my point, right? So, that shows the importance of each of them. If I'm mostly in my phone, doesn't matter you're sending email for a job or something. This is the thing that I have to do, role modeling, right? You're the examples. I'll follow that. So, put some Islamic signs around the house. Let them see the signs around them. You know, one of the things about the masjid, when they come here, they see the signs. This is important. This is by itself is important. When they go to school, they see some Islamic signs. That by itself is important. They grab the pictures, They take a picture with their mind. They understand it. Sometimes I say, if you do not have time to come to masjid, it's Thursday night, it's Muharram, Ramadan, you want to go. Come 10 minutes, 15 minutes, go. Let them see, let them be in the environment. Let them see it's important. So, when we come to masjid, there's no iftar anywhere? No? Okay. So there's no movie or anything? No creative game? Nothing? Next thing, okay, let's go to masjid. There's no test? Nothing? Then we go to masjid. Isn't it? Verse says, no, this is the most important thing. Depends on how much importance you put, significance in something, they grab that as well. Go back to behavior. The more you observe respect to each other, how you talk to each other, sometimes even fake it. Literally, role modeling. Doesn't matter what age you're talking about. So literally in front of each other, create a scenario. If you see your kids, for example, they have issue with sharing with each other, create a scenario that one of you guys is asking the other one to share something that is important. Absolutely, yeah. Not that tomorrow start fighting over that, right? Let them see that in modeling. Rules at home, as I said, should be Islamic rules. Measure the goodness and the evil of everything based on Islamic visions. What Islam is telling us, based on that. Maybe another time, inshallah, we can go all the way to details, but these are some in general information, inshallah, that can be helpful. Practice what you say. This is the biggest thing that the kids, you know those teenagers that they don't practice, when I talk to them, what do they say? The first word that they tell me, hypocrisy. The first word they use. Hypocrisy of parents, hypocrisy of the community. Moulana, you don't know. My parents, if they come to masjid, they act like that. I want you to hear them last night. Or when my mom is talking to her mom about, that's my aunt, right? Hypocrisy. In the center, that brother that you saw sitting there, I saw the wedding. You don't know, Moulana. I can sit down and explain, sweetheart, let's sit down. Let me tell you, people are like this, like that, blah, 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 right? But that's what they observe. At least the house environment should be clean and clear. Make sense? Yes? Say it out loud. Yes? Ahsant. Everything. All these examples that I'm saying. I had a kid came to me and says, I'm embarrassed to walk with my father in the society. Why? Because his eyes is everywhere. He was a teenager. He said, I'm embarrassed to be with my father because he's looking at everything. What should I tell him? You tell me, how should I guide this guy? Which the God of the house is who? The father, for example, quote unquote, right? Or mom is preaching something, but when, let me tell you, I had a client, he came, and he had issue with the whole gender things, right? Look how they think. He was 18, 19. The only path that I saw it's open was the love of his mom. He loved his mom. And I said, let's enter that area from the love of his mom. So I started talking to him. You know what he told me? He said, my mom is not observing one of the Islamic rules. I don't want to mention. Okay? He said that. He said she doesn't have hijab. And he said, if she can not observe this Islamic rules, what's wrong with me not observing that Islamic rule for the gender? The comparison is so absurd, right? What is this? What is this? But according to his mind. So this is one Islamic rules, this is one Islamic rules, right? So they're not observing this one, I don't want to observe this one. How about that? See how dangerous it becomes sometimes? So, environment. School, of course, we have different kinds of schools, as I mentioned. Please be careful. If you have to, if you don't have, sometimes I tell them, I go some states that really there's no Islamic schools. I said homeschooling is better than that. Homeschooling is better than the public school. But if you really have to, private schools are better than public schools, right? It's just going to different levels. And if you have to, just be very careful of the environment. Who they hang out with, what they're teaching, be on top of their case, right? What they're doing, what they're learning, everything possible. Any questions so far? Any questions about the environment, about the house? Go ahead.
Some people look at their schedule, whether there's tests or not, and they go to the masjid. Sometimes it's very difficult, like we prioritize in being above. I'm not sure if I totally can understand that.
Ilm above what?
That it's like it's more. It'll help you with thinking. It'll help you with guidance. It'll help you. The more you know, the more you can be successful.
Okay.
The masjid sometimes doesn't necessarily outweigh that.
That's how we differentiate. We think masjid is not for ilm, masjid is just for salat, praying, and then ilm is at the school. No. This is how they think, by the way. Thank you so much for giving this example. This is how they think. So if I want to gain ilm, so professional life is out of the masjid. We have to change this. No. Professional life is, masjid is the place of learn and knowledge. I'm not talking about physics and chemistry necessarily, right? Which sometimes, yeah, tutoring, please bring tutoring to masjid, right? But I shouldn't differentiate between this and this. His mind, so he thinks masjid is only when spirituality happens. Ilm and spirituality should be together, otherwise it's very dangerous, right? And we're not saying that leave the school, come here, or blew the test because of the center. No, that was just an example I give, you know? Overall, so they understand masjid is very important, not that when everything else is done. That's why when my kid goes to college, usually in the 4 years, how many times they come to masjid? Averagely, tell me. How many of you guys have kids at college? Raise your hand. Averagely, how many times, if they're not here around, if they're somewhere else, averagely how many times come to masjid? Maybe if they don't have a test or something, right? Huh? There you go. Maybe if there's no exam. So you mean 4 years, I said that last night, 4 years my kid is somewhere that doesn't come because of ilm? This kid is going to learn a lot of things out there, doesn't have access to this one, and his understanding. So that is more important than this. What I'm saying, it's not just that or this, it's all both together. You see what I mean? Both together. That's how I try to raise them. Any other questions? Someone else raised the hand. Someone? Yeah. House environment. We're talking about the environment.
I guess you mentioned gender, and one of the things that seems popular in the community is a lot of times we'll see families putting their girls through Islamic school, but the boys will go through public school.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I mean,
both equally important. Equally important. There's nothing different. Any other questions about the environment, about the house? Okay. Any other questions about the marriage and parenting? Go ahead.
In the home environment, at what level do we give limited exposure to what they would come across in the environment beyond the home?
Like what?
From technology or media or, I mean,
I'll
keeping
talk
them
about
pure is the goal.
The end
but-
of the presentation is about screen time and social media. We'll talk about it. Okay. But it's a preparation. I'll answer it this way. If you prepare them so they understand, how can I make sure this seed that I put, this plant that I put, when the wind comes, when the winter comes, it's not going to dry? How? How can I make sure this little seed that is growing is going to be strong? Work on what? Root. If the root is strong, the wind can come. So you guys have snow. The snow can come. The root would save them. Make sense? That's what we're working on. If the root is strong. Go ahead.
So one other question I think comes up is by controlling the environment at home, at school, friends, aren't we creating a bubble? Eventually they will come out of that bubble and they might not be prepared to handle the things which will be thrown at them.
Didn't you create a bubble during the COVID?
Yes.
Why?
It was temporary.
Temporary. Until get out of this threatening time and environment, right? Now they're exposed to the COVID as well, right? Yes, we create not a bubble, a safe environment. Because my kid at the age of 9, 10, 11 cannot be exposed to certain things that they cannot observe. They might just don't get it. Why Islamically is haram for you adult to read certain books. Did you know that? It's haram for you to read kutub al-dalla. Kutub al-dalla means if you read, you go out of the way. Because your knowledge is not to that level that you can find the answer. Therefore, you start having doubt. It's haram for adults to read those books. Fiqh situation. Why? Because that changed the course of the life of a person. Yes, until they get stronger, gradually, like the immune system. Would you take the little baby to a public area, public place? Why not? Because it's not ready yet. You create that bubble, yes. You create that safe environment for the kid to become healthier and stronger, then you take them gradually. That's what I'm talking about. It's a process of their learning. It's the process of understanding. Go ahead, you had a question?
You talked about not sending them to public schools. My kids go to public school, and I have a big issue with that now with all the things arising. So I wanted to ask you how not all parents can do homeschooling. Like, can you guide us how to switch from public school to homeschooling and maintain the same discipline at home?
That's a totally different route. We have to talk about it at different times. But what age are they?
7 and 9.
7 and 9. Okay. So here's the thing that I need to know another time. Personality of your kids, how they think, what they think about over there at the public school, what they're learning that are not good. These are all part of the factors now, right? In general. But the best advice that I can give you, sit down with them, communicate. Tell them why. They're old enough to understand your point of view. Tell them these are the reasons I'm concerned, right? Not to scold them, not to go fight with them, not to embarrass them, not to humiliate them. These are the concerns we're talking about, right? So because of these concerns and behavior, and I know that you don't like to do certain things, depends on what it is, by the way, right? Because if it's something, how deeply they're involved with it, it's going to be more difficult, right? So if you communicate with them, it will be helpful, but details, we need to talk in person to see, to observe all these factors all together. Make sense? Okay, so I just have to go quicker so we can inshallah cover as much as possible. The second aspect was what? First environment, then training, right? So we train them. How we train them? We're talking about kids, by the way, primarily. Create a very nice and kind image of Allah for your kids. How many of you guys who come to my lectures at night? Raise your hand. So you're missing a lot if you're not coming. My whole point here is to create a relationship with Allah, the love of Allah in them. The first mission of Islamic school, you know what it is? Not to teach them fiqh, not to teach them aqa'id, the love of Allah. The first mission. The first mission of Islamic centers, you know what it is? Not the fiqh or not anything, which is very important, by the way. The first thing is what? The love of Allah. If they have that seed of love of Allah, if not today, tomorrow they'll go after it. But if they don't have that love of Allah, I just want to imagine the foundation is not strong enough, I'm working on the environment, you see? It's going to collapse. Why the most important concept in Quran and teachings of Ahlul Bayt and teachings of prophets is what? Tawheed. Why? Because this is the love of Allah. So make sure whatever you do, especially when talking about the kids, preschoolers specifically, it's very easy. The love of Allah by giving them a lot of examples. If your kid loves an animal that is just mesmerized by that animal, make the connection between that animal and Allah. Who created this beauty? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at this nature. Oh my God. Schools. Montessori is the best. I'm telling you, I have a Montessori school in Bay Area, right? Is the best model according to the nature, inner nature of your kid that they can integrate in a good way, inshallah, if we can, to teach them about the love of Islam. Right? Because your kids now reading a book about the bees. Now, connection with Islam from here. Right? They go work on certain things. And alhamdulillah, I'm working on, I think it's the first time working on creating an Islamic Montessori school that teach them in all details how to integrate Islamic concept into the Montessori. But even if it's not, just in the house environment or outside, make sure you guide them towards this. Read a lot of stories that shows the love of Allah. Try not to scare them by Allah's punishment. If you do this, Allah said He's going to put you in the fire because you're disrespected to your parents. I told you when he falls down, I told you, see, you got it. Allah gave it to you so you will be respectful to me. You're going to be burned in the hellfire. He's thinking, the same God that was so kind, the same God so beautifully, amazing, nice, everybody loves Him. If I do anything to my mom, she's not going to burn me. She doesn't put me through fire too. If I do disrespect my father, he never ever burned me, does he? No. What kind of kind Rahman Rahim he is that one day he's going to burn me? That kid doesn't get it at that age. You see what I mean? Now the child development comes in. So is she get the concept or not? Make sense? Yes? Don't threaten them by going to hell. Allah is, okay, so now you can bring this now, the concept of Islamic values into this around Allah. Rahim, He's very kind to children. Give some examples. Create some examples. Right? Create some examples that how kind He is to children. Why did I say children, not adult? He's kind to children. Why not adult? because they relate to kids faster and better, right? That's why. Kareem, you can ask him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you. He's very generous. Let him ask, and guess what? Provide for them. We're talking about kids. We're not talking about teenagers, right? We're talking about kids. Write down what you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He would inshallah provide for you, right? Let them write, or let them pray, let them get used to it, and they pray, give it to them. At that age, let them get used to it. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do. A lot of things about this. How generous is Allah. My daughter she's going to become 9 soon. And then I have an early celebration, taklif celebration, and balagha ceremony for her. And then we bought a doll that she loved, that she was waiting for it forever. And then we put it behind the door, and with a letter on top of it, coming from an angel, right? And then I had the Ring app, and I started, ringing the doorbell, and she went outside and she saw the doll, that the one that she was always requesting to have, and she knew. I said, maybe inshallah when you become to that level, as a result of that respect, Allah will provide that for you. See what I mean? So connection, association. Don't worry about this tomorrow, they want to know, blah, blah, blah. We need that effect, positive effect at that age. You see what I mean? And that's the reality, that how it works. So in terms of kids love heroes, right? They love heroes. Create a hero from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. He knows everything. You know what they love, the teachers? Because they see the teachers as a hero. They talk to each other, who said that? My teacher said that, right? As if God said. They love hero. They love, you see the movies? Now, all the movies, all the cartoons is about hero, right? Everything that they have, there's something. The helicopters comes and helps someone, or someone needs help. It's all about them. So if you create a hero who is Allah, by the way, they don't get it, the unseen, remember? Their mind is not there to understand unseen. But if you create a hero of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the true, based on the sifat of Allah, asma of Allah, that He knows everything. He is so generous. He is the kindest. Oh my God, I just love this creatures, whatever it is, right? Because He's just like hero. He knows everything, isn't it? Even you get excited. He's the best protector, Hafiz, right? He's protecting everyone, so and so. You don't have to worry about the other side, right? So he understands, Mom, I'm scared, what is the reason that you're scared? First and foremost, go to reason that he or she is scared of what? Get to that point. Later on, as cherry on top, we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's protecting us. And make tangible example, by the way. Bring tangible examples, right? I remember my sister, when she was little, my mom had one of those green fabrics from the Haram of Imam al-Ba'i, Imam Hussein, you can find it. And she was telling her, wherever you hurt over there, if you put this on that, she called it boo-boo. If you put it there, right, it's going to feel better. Guess what? It was working. Anytime she was falling down, right, my mom was like helping her, and then she was saying, you feel better? Yes. So I'm feeling better because of what? Connection to what? To Imam Hussein. Make sense? Yes? We're talking about the kids. So he's Hafiz, he's protecting. Let's go forward. He forgives people who do something wrong. Tawab. Right? He forgives. Tawbah is there. If you do something wrong, instead of me blaming my kids, humiliating my kids, putting my kids down, reprimanding my kids, I say, okay, what did we learn from this? Right? The same thing in the school. What did we learn? So you push the other one. How does he feel? Then the Tawbah. Allah is the one who would accept our Tawbah as well. Okay, let's move faster. Create a very nice and kind image of the Prophet, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was very kind with kids. We have a lot of stories. He was playing outside in the streets with the kids and so, right? If they see that Ahlul Bayt loves them, then they will love them in return. The stories of Ahlul Bayt. There are a lot of storybooks. Alhamdulillah, nowadays you have a lot of Islamic Shia storybooks, right? A lot. So bring them, read to them, let them read themselves as well. Have a story time with them. How many of you fathers you have bedtime with your kids? Raise your hand. Ahsan. At least the bedtime should be for you, at least. But the bedtime is not go to bed. No. The bedtime means at least half an hour to 45 minutes. What time your kids go to bed, by the way? Say it out loud. Yeah, start at around 7:30, 6:30, 7-ish, right? It's a transition. Spend time with them. Read a story for them. Read a book for them. Hear them. Listen to them. Even your teenagers. How was your day? Do you want to talk to me about how was your day? Not that he tells me what happened in the day. He says, I told you not to do it. Why did you do it again? Right? No. Let them express. Let them talk. If they're little, so they get used to it. At night, I can go to the source of security and I can talk to my dad. Right? I can express my feelings. Then read a story, bonding time, quality time, we call it, right? If your daughters is not receiving love from you, let me say someone else's daughter. If their daughters is not feeling love and they're not receiving love from their father as a man, when at a school, a man is approaching her and says, oh my God, you look beautiful. What do you think she feels? Yeah. He was the only man who could see my beauty. You couldn't see. Do you say to your daughter that you're so beautiful? I'm so proud of you. Even your teenagers' daughters, I'm so proud of you. Astaghfirullah Maulana. What? Rasulullah, what did he say about his daughter? I smell heaven from you. Oh my God, Zahra is peace of my heart. Didn't, right? Didn't he say these things? Did we say that? Zahra is peace of my heart. I love, in front of others, yes. Let them feel proud, let them feel connection, right? Then when you give love, when their love tank is full, guess what's happening? Someone else is coming and saying, I love you, you're so beautiful. Okay. Because I already heard, right? Not from mom, it's a different area. A male version. Attractions. Make sense? All right. So, yeah, a lot of stories you can give. Open Quran and read the stories. We have books about the stories of Quran, right? School, they can use it as well. Have weekly meeting with them. Literally sit down with them, even the younger ones. Hear them, how was the week, how's everything? Everybody talks. Share your feelings with them. Have a game, right? Some people, they have one of the kids stand up and read one hadith or one ayah Quran and talk about it a little bit. Game night, also, it's the same session you can have. It's very important. Okay. Any questions so far? Alhamdulillah. Oh, okay.
How can we create a balance if a kid asks and observe a contradictory environment? You know?
Like what?
You are telling him about Allah and Ahlul Bayt and practicing him that too, but the kid is exposed to external environment as well, and he observes something different what you are teaching. So, and you can see that the general practices around him, and he says, Mom, you are doing different, but the other one is saying different or practicing different.
Who are others?
Others are maybe close family members.
Oh, this is a challenge.
So
What age are we talking about?
5, and my son is 5, and the other kids too. But how can we make a balance, because we cannot, like I cannot leave that right path, but the exposure that he is in, they are generally practicing what is not right.
Yeah.
And
So-
what is the societal norm now?
Yeah.
So how to create
These are
a
the
balance?
challenges. These are the real challenges that we have in this society. And if you have a family member who are not practicing and are close, you have to have, this is another challenge that you have. You see what I mean? So it's very difficult to create that balance. If I decided to live in this society that the values are different than my values, these are the challenges that we have. But does it mean that it's very impossible to do it? No. Yes, we have these challenges, but we have to try our best. That's very difficult at that age. I will have less exposure, as less as possible, as little as possible. Because at the age of 5, he doesn't get it, right? But even if it's exposed, I explain. People are different level, different mentality. Some people are practicing, some people. The most difficult part for them when they see another Muslim is not practicing. If it's non-Muslim, it's easier. When they see a Muslim is not practicing, that's, oh my God, devastating. What does it mean? Okay? But still we can explain to them, this is the least thing we can do. Explain to them, people are different, so and so, without putting someone down, explain to them what's going on. Yes, ma'am.
Living in a society, the American society, really, I think our kids are also influenced by, how the Christmas is celebrated, how a lot of, traditions are being celebrated. And in my household particularly, we have a conflict between me and my husband. I sometimes feel like I'm piggyback riding on some of the American and the Christian, I think cultural norms that they have, especially around Christmas and the holidays. And I've tried to create something similar around Eid, just to kind of live up or make it a bigger hype, more hype, I think, around Ramadan and Eid. And my husband feels strongly that if we do that, we are basically reinforcing the idea of Christmas. Like, for example, in my house, we have a dua basket the whole of Ramadan, and kids know that they have to put some duas. And the idea is just to kind of create a list of the gifts that they want, and then I make a big deal on Eid that they get all the things or some of the things that they're asking for. Similarly, around Imam Mehdi, we always make him a big deal more than Santa Claus is. So Santa Claus doesn't exist in our house. But I always tell my kids, okay, Santa Claus is not real, but Imam Mehdi is real. So he's watching you, he's doing this. So there's a whole thing that I try and create. But I also understand what my husband's coming from, because his opinion is that as Muslims, we do not have to, we don't have to follow what the American culture is around Christmas and recreate that as in an Islamic environment in our household. But what do you have to say? Is this kind of...
What's the question?
I guess that's my concern. Am I reinforcing some of the traditional values of the Christian society in American society? By having, let's say, a dua basket, making Imam Mehdi a bigger deal out of, that he's listening to you, he's watching you, and the angels are watching you, and we're doing a crescent tree and all of that.
How are you doing it?
No. So, because there is a lot of speculation in the community as well, that people say that you're celebrating like Christmas, you're celebrating Eid like Christmas in your house. Is that considered wrong though?
Don't make it exactly like that. Yes, that makes sense. If I have it like exactly like that,
not exactly, but
no, you can have a dua, you can have things, blah blah blah. But don't make it a connection because of that is this. No, we already have our values here.
Yes.
Right? This is the value that we're not copying anyone. If they see we're copying someone, that's an issue. So just generally, I can tell you can go to details. If they feel you're copying something, that's I have an issue. There's a lot of TV show, right? Then we try to make it Islamic. Why don't you create something new? Why don't they follow us? Why don't we be pioneer? I was with a group of teenagers and very active teenagers in Canada, and they're like, have you seen I don't mention this TV things, blah blah blah. It says, it's a carbon copy of that singing blah 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 things. So why don't we create something that others see, oh my God, this is great, Muslim, they made it, why do we have it all follow?
So as long
if it's
as you
carbon
create your
copy,
own, it's good.
Create your own things, best things you're doing in terms of Imam Mahdi, Eid or something. But don't make them think like it's like that here.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Ahsan. Very good question. So let's move forward. Some tips. Can you read it out loud? No, not like that. Louder. Teachers, sisters, louder. You see what they said about real estate? Location. Education, your education. If you cannot compete with the knowledge of your kid, teenagers, they're gonna put you down with their knowledge. I just Googled it, and the Google said this and that, right? You need to keep up with that. I was in Dallas, that invited me to a dinner. Then I realized it's because of their son. So they was like, this son is so disrespectful. He goes to Google, type everything and get information, goes against Spanish, says, no, you're wrong, Islam didn't say that. Why Maraja are doing these things? So when I sat down and he was in front of me, he was sitting this way. Literally, he was sitting this way. Why is it this way? Why you were saying this way? Why you did this? Literally. The more I was answering, the more he was like, at the end he was like, yeah. Do you have lecture tomorrow? I said, yes. He came tomorrow. Because he couldn't put me down by knowledge. He was Googling a lot. You see what I mean? So I'm not saying you should be expert in everything. Over all those areas, then your kids have questions. Parenting, yes, you should become expert, without a doubt. Marriage, you should be expert, without a doubt, because that's about life, right? But other things here and there is coming, educate yourself. If the kid is asking you a question, you don't know the answer, what do you say? I don't know exactly. I'll go find it out. Let's go together, ask Maulana. We're teaching them. It's okay, we're not perfect, we're parents. Remember one of the things in the lecture I told everyone, and teenagers especially, said, and I had the youth program, I said, your parents are not perfect. Don't expect them to be perfect. They're human beings, they can make a mistake. That's okay. You see how easy it is to understand, my parents are not perfect, so they can make a mistake too. Don't make a mistake purposely. But yeah, educate yourself. Don't introduce religion as a set of, a lot of people do this. Dry rules and disciplines that you need to follow no matter what, otherwise you're going to be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm doing the same thing at night, every night, those who come to my lectures, from a different angles. Not the dry rules that you have to follow. I try to create a connection with that. When I say, this is the test, when I say this is salat, this is things, I'm introducing. So it's hard, when you pray, the salat, one of the least effect of the salat psychologically is that you gain power over your mind, your mentality, your thoughts, because in salat you're supposed to do it on time, pay attention, and then you think and you give all the attention and tawajjuh, you are gaining control over your thoughts, and you can say no to yourself to certain things. When the negative thoughts come to you, you have more power and strength to say no to negative thoughts. When haram comes, you have more power to say no to. You see what I mean? Somehow, the connection is important, but yes, the discipline would help to stay. It's not that a lot of people say, I want to leave my kids to decide if they want to pray or not. I want to leave my kids to decide if they want to have hijab or not, or to want to practice certain things. Then leave your kids to decide if they want to go to school or not. Would you do that? Leave on the kids if they want to go to the doctor or not. You see, some people, they fall on the other side. No, we are the parent. You are the boss. You are in charge. They need to follow you. Don't lose that part. You see? Let's not be too open-minded here, right? I love part of our culture. Parents respect. Yeah, we are in charge. It's not just our culture, all culture it is. Parents are in charge, right? You know what is the best for your kids. Yes, we're explaining, or we're disciplining too. We're encouraging to. Make sense? Yes? 100%? Yes. Ahsant, mashallah. Very good. So let their mind be active in Islamic lessons. Question critics, I love when they come and put Islam down. Why does it say this way? Because what? Because that's the moment I can teach. It's like, good job. You know, us in Hausa, we destroy things, then we build it up again. Because if you go all the way to the bottom, and you're not afraid of asking, one of the things about Christianity, that the teenagers, they really don't like it, the Christian, you know what it is? They just tell us you have to believe in it. This is a very common thing. They tell us, don't ask questions. If you ask questions, you have to believe. Versus Islam, I had literally church came, and when they came, they brought a lot of their teenagers. So they asked question, I was answering, answering. At the end of each question, I was saying, did it make sense, or you want me to explain more? One of the girls, Christian girls, raised her hand and says, you know what's this interesting? You're explaining first, and then you're saying, did it make sense, or you want me to explain more? That's totally opposite of the church. Everybody was sitting there. They didn't bring them anymore. It was the last time. Believe me, we have multiple occasions, they didn't bring their kids anymore. She was right. That's how Islam it is, right? Encourage them to question, not to put down, to be active. Why should I pray? Why should I? You know, actually what I do in my school, I trick some questions so they ask. If they don't ask questions, something is wrong. So I kind of encourage them or bring some ideas so that, if that's, I'm controlling the environment. If it's this way, then why is it this way? Now you ask a question, let's answer. You see? So the foundation of their belief system will be strong. Make sense? Not that as soon as they so someone else is bringing a question or they hear something from YouTube, that was right. Why is it this way? No, I already heard about that shubha, right? Make sense? Good. All right. Do not extravagantly insist on following any push. We're talking about these little kids, by the way, right? Push a lot on this. Do not reprimand them or, embarrass them, as the hadith Manghul says, just make them more stubborn. Make for your kids make a very big bulugh ceremony. You said the ceremony, right? The biggest ceremony ever should be the bulugh one. Should be a big deal. Like 1 year, 2 years before, did you announce everything? Did you know my daughter is going to be baligh in 1 year? Oh my God, as if what's happening? Right? 6 more months, my daughter is going to be baligh. Do you know that? Oh my God, especially because they're 9-year-old, right? Still a little one, right? Make a big deal. The ceremony big. The entire world is getting upside down because my kid is going to be baligh, right? The best gift that you can possibly give them. So to her, it's like, what is going on? Something is important here, right? When you have a baligh ceremony in your school or your masjid or whatever, and it's so beautiful, elegant, they love it, right? Let them feel they grow up and they have responsibility. Everything rotates around them. Virtual world, I finished with this. Okay, my doctoral dissertation was about this, the effect of social media on the family, screen and the family. I can tell you, whatever we said so far, whatever we said, if you don't control this, you're in a big risk. I don't want to say gone, in a big, huge risk. Remember that bubble we talked about? Guess what? If they have access to the ocean of information and games, but such a great tool, right? When they're fussing and they're throwing tantrum, you just give them the phone, go over there, quiet, right? Peace of mind, isn't it? When they're not listening and then just making noise, you don't know what to do, just giving them phone, sit down here, right? They listen to it throughout the whole lecture. Some are quiet. No, they're praying with it. Right? So, throughout the day, make sure you have a time, even for teenagers. Turn off the modem and the screen for entire family, not just them, parents as well. Free electronic zone time, right? So you just stay away from it. For your children, this age that we're talking about it, psychology is saying that maximum try to give them 20 minutes of a screen time per day. Oh. Yeah. Doesn't make sense, right? It is realistic. I have families. It's the style we create for ourselves that make it unrealistic. Now that's different. That's the school. That's different. We're talking about leisure activity, right? That's different. So, which even in that school things, because we made them dependent on the school. Otherwise, 10, 15 years ago, it was not like this. We are creating the environment, then we say it's not possible. So we're doing it. So then we stay with the challenges. But now with these situations, we're talking about mostly the leisure time, right? 20 minutes. We're talking about like the kids, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. It should be controlled. We're not even talking about the content yet. We're talking about what? Just the hours screen time. I would say, less than 40 minutes, 45 minutes maximum, right? To make sure you don't do more than that. If I am able, it's not possible if I am not having this. If I am expecting them to sit down and do nothing and don't go to phone, it's impossible. But if I spend time with them, go out. If they have access to outdoor, what were kids doing before? Tell me. Going out, playing outside with their toys. Try it. Take the phone away. One of the main things that happen when the kids have access to excessive screen time, they become agitated, angry, zoned out. These are the things, the statistic is right. Zone out, agitated. They show inappropriate behavior. It goes to all the way to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, physically diabetes because they're sitting down, obesity, anything, even for adults. It's not just for kids. Rather than what? Active. Keep him away from the screen for 2 weeks. The little ones, you see their mood is changing. They become more happier, involved, active, right? Talk to them. Tell them why. Explain to them why, right? Some people ask me, when is the time that we have to introduce them to the screen or something? It's like, they are introduced, by the way, right? We can say. But the further you can go without them being dependent on a screen, the better. It's up to you. Then up to the environment that you have. Don't let them be dependent on things. How? If the parents are not dependent on this. Make sense? We go to a restaurant, we're waiting for the food. What do, parents? Dad is driving. Mom, what do you do? Be honest, right? So these things are happening around us. The first thing I do is sit down. The first thing I check is what? Oh, alhamdulillah, it's alive. Put it back. Right? They're saying this. If the battery percentage is below 25%, oh my God, how am I going to live? They say these things. Making cupcakes with the slogans on top, make crafts, any crafts that you can. Boys and girls, doesn't matter. Let them be active. You need to spend time with them. I know we're working. I know that we have to do something. We can't just, don't give them a screen, devices, and tell them be quiet and nice, sit over there, just read a book. Maybe 1 hour, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, then what am I going to say? Mom, I'm bored. Dad, I'm bored, right? So it's my responsibility to provide. Classes, extracurricular classes, you can put sports, you can put them in, right? Fill up their schedule with certain things, and so it will help them too. Again, for this whole topic, another workshop should come just about the social screen time and social media. I'm just getting very general. Do not let them play with the tablets, phone, or things all day long or alone. Be careful. Do not let them have a private room inside with a laptop or tablet or phone. If they want to play with it, here. Rules, that's the rules. You see what I mean? If you put the rules, it becomes like, if they have a PC is not in the room, that door is closed. Nope. You get it? You know what I mean? Yeah. The younger they are, when you put the rules and culture, they follow that. When they're teenagers, now do you want to put the culture? Oh, I have issue with that. That's the thing. Yeah, so this is the face. Okay, so I had something that I can show you. I don't have internet here, but keeping your kids quiet with video games is easy. It's very good, but definitely it's not a healthy way. Mom, give me a phone. I want to play with your phone. No, I'll go to dad. Dad, I bother you. And she says, be quiet. Just go sit down over there. How many things I said principle of parenting? Number 1, remember? Communication. 2nd, emotion. 3rd, understand the developmental stages of your kids. Number 4, which is the most important one. You too, if you're not on the same page, whatever we said, forget about it. If I see discrepancy between the CEOs of a company, what do I do as an employee? I try to take advantage of it. You need to be on the same page. How should you be on the same page? Sit down, talk, communicate, explain. Get over that fight inside the room, not in front of them. What should we do about the screen? What should we do about this tantrum? The kids is throwing tantrum. What should we do with? If you want to sit down with each other over certain parenting topics, you talk to each other, you get to an agreement, or agree to disagree sometimes, but do this, I do this, right? And then observe and follow these things in front of them, one voice, even your teenagers. Look at yourself. You come to masjid, you see Maulana is saying something, President is saying something, someone else is, what do you say? Oh, just unorganized, right? But if you see this one voice, one person comes behind the mic, behind the podium and say one thing. What mom says is exactly what dad says. Dad is not going to go opposite of that. Should I stay in that house, some of my friend's house? Go ask their dad. Dad, same thing, whatever your mom says. Don't just keep passing to each other. Sometimes you do it, by the way, I know. Right? One rule, because you don't want to say no, you'll be a bad cop, right? One rule, one policy. You see what I mean? One rule, one policy. It's very, very important. Be on the same page. So we talk about this development and have the rules for the TV time and everything. These are some of the old content in the video games they watch. And I want you to see if they are having access and they're playing the role of this 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours a day. So what do you think this would do to them? These are very old, by the way, probably maybe for, 10 years ago. Now it's way worse than this, right? If they're playing this and they're exposed to this, yeah, absolutely. So do not provide anything to them, TV show, cartoon, book, video game, unless you vet them and observe them, you know what it is inside, then you give it to them. Even a book. Even sometimes, I don't want to make it too difficult, even a book, you say, oh, this is a very good book, you read it at least once to be aware what they're. Video game, it's okay. Let's see whatever video games. Let's play. If you can play by yourself or you two together first, it's good to see what it is, the content. Sometimes the video shows, okay, they go 30 episodes. 30 episodes. Good, calm. The last episode, boom. They introduce the character as so and so. You lost it. See what I mean? So it's very important you be aware of the content. In the school, any book comes, make sure you go through it, read it, then give it. From all aspects. Psychological aspects, mental, emotional aspects, and Islamic aspects. All right. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Any questions? So I try to make it as general as possible, right? Each of this topic, we have to go to details. Yes.
Before I'll bring the mic in 1 second, but could I ask the parents who have children in the childcare to please go ahead and pick them up so that the childcare staff can move out?
One of the things I hear from like Christian friends I've had is that when they, they're told about Santa and the tooth fairy, and when they find out that that's not real, they question what else their parents has told them that is also not real. So I feel like sometimes there's a fine line between telling your kid like, oh, the angel gifted you this, or, this gift came directly from God. Because when they realize it didn't come directly from that thing.
Why not?
I guess, because you have to, I feel like
It's directly from God, what?
But I feel like it's your
Who
responsibility.
put it in my heart to say, why some parents, they don't do the gift for the Islamic things? So it's not a lie.
I feel like it's very.
If you say God brought it for you here, that's a lie. Do you get my point?
Yes.
So if they understand that literally, no, we believe in that. The love of these things for our kids is coming from where? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, we're not into these things. So if they understand the Santa Claus is fake, that's the problem. The existence of Santa Claus is fake. The Allah is not fake. The whole thing that Santa Claus is bringing something is fake. We're not talking about that fake creature is fantasy. We're talking about Allah. Angels are not fake. But you're right. We shouldn't create somehow that literally the angel, is doing something. But no, that's the reality. That when you pray, what are you praying for? When someone prays, I want a good husband, what does it mean? Who's bringing that husband? Allah provide the situation. Allah doesn't bring the guy, boom, right? He's providing the situation for that guy to come to me. Make sense? So Santa Claus is all full of lies. Part of the school when I went through, there was one of the biggest discussion we had, how to do, what to do. But our discussions is that it's reality, it's not fake. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. We don't have that much time. Go ahead.
A follow-up thing on the training and education you talked about earlier. So I'm a new homeschooling mom for my son as well, and inshallah next year my 5-year-old will start homeschooling as well at home, and we'll see how it works out. But are there any resources, or is the community in large working on some sort of a curriculum for the homeschooling parents? Because right now with me, I'm looking at all the math curriculum, this, that, and then of course I'm trying to introduce Quran and all of that. But I think from our Islamic community as such, there are schools, of course, which there are, but not everybody has access to it. I live an hour, 10 minutes away from here. So obviously I do not have access to any of the Islamic schools in the area. But when it comes to homeschooling with kids, and especially what we are trying to teach our kids, I think there's either a parent has to do a lot of research and figure out what curriculum to teach, where to teach, how to do it. There are lots of Christian online homeschooling platforms available. And I've looked into some of the science and biblical stuff that they are doing, such as kind of have the introduction of God in it, but it's very carefully, I have to watch everything. But I think from Islamic centers, it would be great, or if there is already and I'm not aware of it, would be to have some sort of a homeschooling curriculum or guidance for parents that, okay, this is the math, this is the ELA, we are teaching Islamic history on these dates, things like that.
For
is there something
homeschooling, I know there's some parents together, they're creating homeschooling Islamic environment. Or a lot. If you just research it online, you can see it. But in terms of organization, I'm not aware of this. But there are a lot of little groups that they're created by themselves. If you do it online and some research, you will find them. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
know
have-
there are a couple of them in Shia school as well. We have them. Yeah.
Online homeschooling curriculums.
Yes, they have some integration.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So, a lot of question you have, I know it's just personal, you can ask. So I have a business card if you want, so inshallah I can give it to you. And, or here you can take a picture, that inshallah you can ask a question, or you can come and get the business cards. Thank you so much. May Allah inshallah bless you. And as we have the Islamic, recommendations, manqul from Imam Sajjad, we say, Allahumma a'inna ala tarbiyatihim. Oh Allah, help us to be able to train our kids. Whatever I said here, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and we follow the rules, it will be barakat in it, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Jazakallah, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. If I could ask the parents, especially the brothers, to please help us to fold up the chairs and get the room ready for the salah. And any children who are in childcare, please go ahead and pick them up as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? See you.
Actually,